Oh, okay. This is good. This is proper good. 2011 E93 BMW M3 Convertible. Well, the E9X BMW 3 Series, and an Interlagos blue M3 convertible at that. Forget Doug's i3 from earlier in the year. This is a proper BMW. The i3 was just a fun electric car experiment that wasn't really much more than BMW quirkily dipping their toes into the EV game just to say they did. Now the M3? That's BMW's bread and butter. The sportiest version of BMW's compact executive car. Some may argue that the E90, keep in mind I'm just going to go in and out of calling it E90, E9X for this generation because, yeah, lots of numbers and chassis codes and I'm dumb. This is an E93, which is the chassis code for the convertible. Anyways, the E9X or E90 series is what many call the last quote-unquote good 3 Series. It was still smallish and the styling still subdued, rather than hitting you over the nose with its design. Some would argue that BMW has lost its plot in recent years, and the E90 was the peak of what made BMW what it is in the automotive spectrum. Since this is the first of these cars for me to review, a proper BMW, let's go look into the quick history of these cars. The E90 line of 3 Series is the 5th generation of the 3 Series, and the 4th generation of the rowdy M3. The 3 Series replaced BMW's previous compact offering, the 02 Series, in 1975, with the E21 3 Series. A second generation of the 3 Series, the E30, was introduced in 1982. Now, the E30 is pretty much the 3 Series that put BMW on the map, and a little version called the M3 is partially the reason for that. The E30 M3 was an homologation special, something BMW needed to produce 5,000 cars per year of in order to compete in Germany's DTM series, which was using Group A touring car rules at the time. That car is a 1980s automotive icon, and when the E36 3 Series was launched in 1990, an M3 wouldn't be far behind, and thus began the tradition of if there's a 3 Series, you know dang right there'd be an M version. The 4th generation of the 3 Series, the E46, was launched in 1998, followed by the E46 M3 in 2000. The E46 was essentially an evolution in design over the E36, which would be followed by the E90 3 Series in 2005. Now, like I mentioned earlier, the E90s where the chassis codes get kind of confusing as the BMW decided they needed to give each individual body style its own code, similar to what Honda does with their generations of Civic. The E90 is the sedan, the E91 is the wagon, the E92 is the coupe, and the E93 is the convertible, which is what you see here today. This, the E93, is kind of an oddball M3 generation, as it's the only generation that got a V8. The 4-liter S65B40 V8 replaced BMW's venerable straight 6 of previous M3s, and it would also be the last naturally aspirated M3. While the follow-up generation, the F80, reverted back to the straight 6, that engine would feature twin turbos. This would also be the first V8 available in the 3 Series, and it was closely related to the V10 found in that period's M5. This engine produced 414 horsepower and 296 foot-pounds of torque from the factory. And boy oh boy, it's a fantastically high-revving V8. The engine quickly snarls up to 8,000 RPMs at the blink of an eye. Now, this engine being very closely related to the S85 V10 comes with a very noted drawback, and that's the rod bearings. Yes, they like to wear very prematurely. Partially due to tight tolerances, and partially due to, well, according to some internet forum sources that I'm just going to use like a smart guy like I am, mainly the material they're made of. So it's highly recommended that you let your E90 M3 warm up completely before you drive it, or at least keep below 3,000 RPMs until operating temperature, and to perform the rod bearing services every 60,000 miles. If not, well, you run into the risk of the engine locking up or a rod hidden ejecto seat button, cause honestly, while there are other BMW reliability issues to worry about, this is the one big thing to keep an eye out with an E90 series M3. You cannot talk about this car without bringing up that issue. However, rod bearing issues aside, this is simply a fantastic car. Just the noises the S65 make with the ease of the GetTrack MDCT dual clutch in the grip. Oh, sweet baby Jesus in a tuxedo t-shirt. The grip on the country roads. I had a rip-roaring time with this car, and probably took one of my longest test drives in a long while for one of these videos. This car was just a blast to drive hard. The owner, Jack, was egging me on to get hard on it from stop signs, and this 2011 M3 was all too eager to jump to some devilish speeds in a very short time. This is a car that cruises absolutely effortlessly. And unlike the base C6 Corvette I drove last year, I actually felt glee from driving this car fast on country roads. I would definitely give it a nod over the second-gen Cadillac CTS-V I drove earlier this year, and it's up there with the F56 Mini JCW and Tesla Model 3 and the most fun sporty-ish cars I've driven this year. Inside the car, everything is as you would expect out of a BMW. Everything has a heft, and you'd find plenty of over-engineering. The cup holders emerge from the passenger side dash because the Germans simply can't give you a normal cup holders like a normal country. While many people complain about BMW iDrive 3.0 is fairly simple once you figure out the controls on the controller knob. With the DSG, there isn't actually a park setting on the shifter. You just pop the shifter into neutral, pull the handbrake, and the car puts itself into park. With the top down, I can easily sit in the back of the E93, but it's virtually impossible for my 6'3" frame to sit there, let alone get in and out without extreme discomfort with the top up. Oh yeah, the convertible top. I do have to talk about that a little bit, because I always do with these convertibles. Like last episode's PT Cruiser convertible, just hold the button on the center console back, and the top folds back. Unlike the PT Cruiser, the Pontiac Solstice, or the previous 3 Series convertibles, this is a folding hardtop instead of a soft top. But the hardtop at least automatically locks when it goes up, unlike the PT Cruiser or Solstice, which had a whole other step of a lever that had you lock and unlock at the top of the windshield. As expected, trunk space is poor, especially with the top down, and seeing the rear glass just chilling on the suitcase surprised me when I popped the trunk. It's kind of unsettling to me. Now, it appeared to be a little finicky if it sensed the cover over the suitcase wasn't completely seated or the space on the sides isn't completely clear, as the top briefly froze until we checked everything when we first put it down. But, as long as everything's clear, this is pretty idiot-proof. Anyways, this is the owner Jack's first big car purchase. I've filmed 2 of his cars already, the 2006 Audi A3 and the mother freaking Sterling from earlier this year. This E93 M3 has quietly replaced the A3 as his daily. The A3 had been up there in mileage, and he happened to find this one outside of Raleigh at a dealer for a heck of a deal in December of 2020. The day after he found it online, he quietly showed up and sweet-talked the dealer into a deal. He got this thing at around $25,000, which turned out to be a hell of a deal when the used car market absolutely exploded in 2021. This convertible happens to be in Interlagos Blue, which happens to be one of the rarest color options of the E93. And these cars have quietly gained in value, especially with the lukewarm reception of the, let's face it, freaking ugly G80 M3. Again, this led to a lot of talking heads reminiscent about the E90 line of M3s, rod bearings notwithstanding. Jack absolutely loves this car, and in the 10 months of ownership at the time of filming, he's put a grand total of 21,000 miles on it. As mentioned before, this was his first big car purchase. He bought it as a 21st birthday to himself, and he's taken it everywhere from Richmond, Virginia to the tail of the dragon. And I can see why he loves it. This 2011 BMW M3 convertible is just a fantastic driving car. I cannot repeat that enough. I had an absolute blast bombing this car around North Carolina's country roads. Out of all the cars I've driven this year, Only two have really brought me this much joy behind the wheel. One being that John Cooper Works Mini, and one of this car's biggest competitors at the time, the 2013 Cadillac CTS V. Now, the V is a little bigger than the E90 M3, and was woefully held back by the bankruptcy-era GM interior. But that car made all the right noises and was willing to throw you into a corner without making you question your life choices up to that point. The suspension on that car was just fantastic, and it had the power to boot. The E90 BMW, however, doesn't suffer from a parts bin cheap car interior, and it was the car that was the benchmark for Cadillac to aim at with the CTS V. While the Cadillac didn't quite get there per se, they did a fantastic job at creating a premium sports sedan in their own right. Like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, BMW was on top of the world when this car was in production, and seemingly since, they've seemingly lost the plot with their cars becoming more and more bloated, and featuring some very questionable styling decisions that make the Bangle butt look like a Giulia. But to wrap up this short video, some cars happen to be a benchmark car for not only their time period, but for cars as a whole. The BMW is one of those benchmark cars, and I feel comfortable in saying that this 2011 E93 BMW Convertible happens to be one of those last benchmark BMWs. I'm going to say it right here, this is probably the best car I've driven all year, hands down, and I really would like to thank Jack for letting me have a go in his. So yeah, if you get a chance, I highly recommend at least having a quick go at an E90 BMW M3. Yeah, they have a major flaw in the rod bearings, but they are a very good car. Have a good day, everyone. Thank you once again for watching another episode of Wookie Drives. Once again, just like the previous video, if you happen to hear crickling or sound of kibble being eaten or whining, that just happens to be my new golden retriever puppy, Tommy Pickles, being an absolute goober, and now he's trying to play with my headset. But yeah, don't mind Tommy, he's just being a goober, and we love him, as a pain in the butt as he is. Huge shout out to Jack of Cary, North Carolina for letting me have a go in his BMW M3. I had a blast in this car. This dude has been an absolute huge supporter of the channel this year. If you're on Twitter, just give him a follow. He's a very good follow. He works in the car industry, so, and yeah, the dude has a Sterling. Probably, yeah, like one of the greatest lemon cars of all time. Just give him a follow, show him some support, as he's been a huge help to my channel this year. If you have a car or truck you like to have on the show and you happen to be in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, feel free to message me at wookiedrives@gmail.com. That's right, submit your car to wookiedrives@gmail.com. Follow the official Facebook page for channel updates. Follow my Twitter and Instagram for more Wookie shenanigans, and yes, the Instagram is finally getting used like it's supposed to, so don't worry. I also have TikTok that I sporadically make small videos for, just when I have brain fart videos that I don't really feel fit on the big channel. Finally, be sure to give the video a like. Oh my god, Tommy. He's being a goober. I'm trying to hold on to him right now so he doesn't go absolutely ham, but now he's going absolutely ham, so I'm sorry, folks. But yeah, I'm gonna leave all this in because this is my life now. But yeah, give the video a like, share with all your friends, drop a comment with some feedback, just all that interaction really helps the channel grow, and hit that subscribe button for more Wookie Drives like these. Thank you so much for watching another Wookie Drives, and have a good day.
BMW Test Facility 5. M3 Convertible Test 1.0. Weather conditions, mainly sunny. This is your operator speaking. Today we're testing the BMW M3 Convertible. On the agenda is braking, acceleration with MDCT drive logic, and of course, open top driving pleasure. And you need a real expert to test this.
Guys, where's the car? Strange.
Sorry, guys. Today it's my turn.